What is up? Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app. Use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Hasn't even been 24 hours, but just a reminder, the Bears have the number one overall pick.
Did we leave here? Have we gone anywhere?
We've been in a lot of places.
We actually
been
have
home. We've been at House Hall already. We're here.
Strong showing by CHGO today, Woot. I mean, we got Hoge, we got Nicholas Moriano, yours truly, perusing the locker room on the last day. I don't think I'd ever been to a last locker room.
Really?
It's a weird thing for you guys when your season ends.
It's like eerie, and there's just like a weird vibe in there, and you're kind of like, who's going to be here next year and who's not? That's what everybody's thinking.
Yeah. Like, am I, clean out the locker, am I going to be able to put stuff back in this locker?
Exactly. Especially the guys that are in contract negotiations in this offseason, or guys that maybe didn't play up to par.
Yeah. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Corey Wootton here with you today.
Tell you one guy who I don't think is planning on being back here. He got up in his locker and he took his slot down. You know, it's got the name on there. Riley Reef took it out, put it in his box, and I said, "How many of those you got?" He's like, "Too many." I'm like, it's actually a compliment that people want you.
Yeah.
That you have those. Maybe he'll be back, maybe he won't. But he wanted the plate.
Right. I'll bring him back for some depth.
Yeah, well, I mean,
he could play the right tackle if you need to. Depth piece.
He had a good year.
Yeah, veteran guy that can be a mentor to Braxton Jones and some of the other younger offensive linemen. So I wouldn't mind having him back.
Before we get jumping into what the Bears should do with the number one overall pick, which is going to be a big topic today and every day until the end of April. You ready for that, Lawrence? First of all, Lawrence, say hi to the people.
Oh, hey, yeah, I forgot.
It's good to have your voice back.
Oh, yeah, hi.
He's back. He's
Hello.
back.
See, when we go four people on the set, Lawrence
Four wide.
can't talk.
It's like Talladega.
But it's kind of funny because he still does. He still says all the things he normally does. He just doesn't go on the podcast.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just yell from the background. And then
Well, it's the
no
Bragg
one hears
show
me.
when he's here. You know.
Wait, where's your Lovey Smith thing?
Oh. Do we
That
wanna
should be
talk
on
about
set.
that? Well, okay. All right. Well, hold on. All
Yesterday, everybody said we should build a statue for Lovey Smith, and Lawrence, did your kids do it or did you do it?
No. First of all, I have one child.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Are you gonna pull up the suite?
Unless my dog is.
Well, the dog may have eaten it. I don't know.
So hold on. Let me just. Because everyone seems to be confused about the size of this piece of artwork.
That's what she said.
Is that what she said?
I didn't know that you had the ability to make any artwork for the record. This is, I mean, I knew you were very talented and just talented as a human being, period. But this is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
This is legit.
So okay, here we go. Sorry,
I mean,
this
who
is
makes
taking
that?
Wait.
way too long.
Appreciate all the comments. Also asking how Will DeLitt is doing. He's doing fine. He's okay.
So there's Lovey. Yeah.
So you built a Lovey statue.
I used the Rappaport tweet as my my model. That picture of him, and the salt and pepper was a little tough, but we did it. We made it work.
Quality work right there.
How long did that take?
I mean, it's straight out of.
Shockingly, it was not long at all. It
What
was
did
only
you
20
use?
minutes. That's some modeling clay. My daughter got some modeling clay this.
Straight out of Gumby. Right?
Yeah, I think
Gumby,
so. Yeah.
Remember Gumby?
Yeah.
Yes, but I'm stuck on modeling clay and the fact that it's in Lawrence's house. I use modeling clay.
He's an artist, man. He's
Carmen,
an
this is what
artist.
happens when you have children.
I got it. I got it.
There's all kinds of crap.
But
The amount of stuff
so-
I can find in drawers and trust me,
here
my
he
wife
is.
will keep filling those drawers until they're full.
He's not as big as you expect him to be.
Yeah.
He's
You guys
very
were all-
tiny.
You guys were
Yeah,
all
I
pretty
was shocked.
when
I
you
was
saw him.
Shut up. I was
Shocked.
like, wait, what is that thing?
When I saw it in person when I got here, it was way smaller than I thought.
It
you know,
looks
it's pretty good.
kind of like Muppets or something.
I grew up in the
Or
80s. I love the Muppets.
You're
so-
thinking because the headsets. I gotcha. Yeah. Well, good job with that. So we officially built the Lovey statue, and
we
by
go.
we, I mean Lawrence.
Yep.
If
Yeah,
you
me.
if you like Lawrence's Lovey, hit the like button.
Yeah, go ahead. Hit the like button. Why not? It's a good
I just quickly, too, wanted to reflect on what happened yesterday. I still can't believe it.
Miracle. That was a miracle.
Of
4th and 20.
Right. And not like Aaron Rodgers throwing another Hail Mary that there's always a chance that could happen.
Davis Mills.
Not Tom Brady converting fourth. I saw a stat. That's the first 4th and 20 or more converted all season in the National Football League.
Before a touchdown. That's crazy.
And for a touchdown. And it got the Bears the number 1 overall pick.
Then they go for 2.
Yes, and then they get that.
So do we think that the football gods just want the Bears to be good?
I don't know what's happening, but the Bears never get breaks like that. That's not how it's supposed to be.
You think this is the Derrick Rose 1.7% situation?
Yes, I believe in the basketball gods, the baseball gods, the football god, the tennis gods. I do.
But that's an interesting.
They're out there.
That's an interesting comparison. Obviously, there's no lottery in the NBA, but if you were to actually look at what it took, and Carm did. Is your piece up on allchgo.com? I know you have the
top 5 piece.
5 reasons why the Bears got the number 1 pick.
I don't think it's quite up. It'll be up today.
Okay.
It has been submitted on a very busy day, so it'll get up. But
my point is, when you look at the events that transpired, concluding with that crazy 4th and 20 touchdown plus going for 2, how it all laid out over the course of a season in which the Bears finished 1-13 in their last 14 games, despite being competitive in many of those games, having chances to win many of those games. I would almost argue that the odds of it all playing out that way were longer than the Bears or the Bulls getting Derrick Rose in the lottery.
If you just look at the Commanders game, if you remember that, Washington came in 1-4. They were terrible. The Bears were rolling early. Fields threw an interception off the helmet of a defender in the end zone. It would have been 14-zip. Later in the game, Ryan Griffin was running wide open. He hits that throw 999 times out of 1,000. He makes that throw.
Yep.
Missed that throw. 4th and goal at the 1. They don't get in. Then, if you just fast forward to the end of the game, Dante Pettis has it, drops it. There's interference, not called. Mooney how many times
didn't Velus drop a punt in that game?
Velus, that was when Velus lost his job as the kick returner. Yep, handed him a touchdown. I mean, everything that went on in that game for them to lose it, it was impossible for them to lose that game, and they lost it.
Yep,
everything worked out for a greater purpose, right? The number 1 pick. It's a great feeling though, because you got so many different options.
It's crazy.
Donovan, where is there any Fields dislike going on here?
At this point,
maybe I got to stop.
No, I know. At this point, if people are doubting whether or not we like Fields, they're not listening, and they're choosing not to listen. That's what it is, and it's okay.
Yeah.
We appreciate you being here, but that's the choice you're making. Exactly. Because I want to. Can we put the camera on me right now?
I just said 999 times out of 1,000 he makes that throw. It wasn't like making out like he missed another throw.
You're just reporting what happened in a game, and it's the same thing. So now that we're removed from a game that we have to analyze, I just want to make this clear. I like Justin Fields a lot. I think Justin Fields is going to be really good. Me pointing out the things he did wrong in a game in which he did not play well, that the coaches, Luke Getsy said he did not play well. Anyone with eyes could say he did not play well. That is not hating on the quarterback. That is just telling you the analysis from the game. You zoom out on the season, Justin Fields, it was a win. He got a lot better. He became one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the league, even if 80% of it is with his legs at this point and not his arm. But we all know the arm talent he has. We all know the throws he is capable of making. We saw it in college. We've seen it in glimpses in the NFL. And I think another offseason and weapons around him, he is the guy. I 100% believe that. And guess what? If he comes out and has a poor game in week 1 next year, we're going to tell you he had a poor game. That's how this works. Doesn't mean that he sucks. It's just how this works.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Anything else?
I didn't mean
just as long as we set the baseline for the offseason. Going to the offseason.
Well, I just listen. And by the way, we're all aware that you don't need us to sit on some pulpit and tell you what's going on. You guys are on top of it and all that. You have, but
again, Donovan, we get it. We did scenarios on trading Fields. The Bears are going to do that in their own front office.
Yes.
And even if they don't get deep into the weeds on it because they believe in Fields, we'll find out tomorrow what Ryan Poles says in the press conference. But teams are going to call. And we're not the only ones doing this. I just listened to a podcast that was like, should the Bears think about this because he's not a finished product? Doesn't mean they should. But if teams are going to call you about potentially trading your quarterback because you have the number 1 overall pick, we're going to talk about it. It doesn't mean we're advocating. We all said on the set that day we would not do the trade. We all said it.
Yeah. And there's also a quarterback next year coming out of USC by the name of Caleb Williams, who is getting so much hype already that this is going to be the next biggest thing of all time. Now, are you telling me, you, Donovan, or you, whoever out there who's just Fields, that if you were sitting in this position and that dude's coming out and you have the number 1 overall pick, you telling me you're not thinking about drafting that dude and getting 2 more years of control for someone who's being called the next greatest thing in the history of football? You are definitely thinking about it, and that is not a slight to Justin Fields. Like, it wouldn't have been a slight. I like to bring up the NBA too much, but it wouldn't have been a slight if in 1984 Portland was like, you know what, Clyde Drexler, we're trading you and we're taking 23 out of Carolina. It would have been the greatest thing that Portland ever could have done. Now, you have to be right in your evaluation, and it's a huge gamble, which is one that I don't think the Bears are going to take, because it's mainly because it's crazy, and also because nobody is looking at Bryce Young or Will Levis or C.J. Stroud as that level of quarterback.
Exactly.
But if that dude was there, it would be a totally different discussion.
You just got to go through scenarios. Not saying like it's going to happen, but you have to go through every scenario, because if somebody throws a crazy number out there for Justin Fields and picks, it's something they would consider.
Right.
Like just with Russell Wilson last year. You know, Seattle probably didn't have plans on letting him go, and then they got offered a lot, and they were like...
And good point, because 2 years ago, they got offered a ton, and they were like, you know what, we're not ready to do it. But they sure as hell they had discussions, and then a year later, they decided to do it. Our guy, the Duke, $4.99, super chat here. I know, guys, I think they hate... I don't know, guys, I think they hate Fields' sarcasm. Font. I think it's all good. We got it. Appreciate it. And by the way, Donovan, we do appreciate you watching every single day. Hit that like button. If I could hit a like button for you, I would. How about that? We get it. It's just it's. Trust me. This was happening earlier in the season too, and it was like, because there's a lot of people out there that think like the media wants to be negative, and it couldn't be farther from the truth. Like when Fields was struggling, trust me, in my head I'm going, man, because we have to then come on here and talk about how he was struggling, and then people get mad at us. You know, and it's like, we're just telling you what's happening. Trust me, I hope he wins MVP next year.
When he was struggling, like I was always saying, like, man, Luke Getsy is not doing a good job of getting the best out of Justin Fields. And then all of a sudden in that Patriots game, when he started allowing some of those zone reads, he got him on the move, some of the boots, some of the sprint outs. That's when we seen Justin Fields really become the playmaker that he can, even despite the lack of weapons. He was game planning for him. So we knew eventually when he can game plan for him, he would be a playmaker. And now it's about just ironing out some stuff, getting the weapons at wide receiver. But I think Justin Fields, I think when it's all said and done, if they get them the weapons and everything, he could be top 5 in this league. And I firmly believe that.
So I'll give you another positive Justin Fields for you. All right, Justin Fields, just for the record, let me just double check this because I don't want to be wrong. He's going into his 3rd year. And Justin Fields is 23 years old, okay? He's 23. Let's see. Let's look up the old birthday for good old Justin. He was born March 5th, so he'll be 24 he's going to be 24 years old next season, all right? He has gone through 2 years of having nothing. Terrible coaching staff for him his first year, no players his second year. And now I think he's getting very comfortable in the system. Imagine how good he's going to be with all this seasoning, and then you actually put some talent around him. If you load him up with players, and he's gone through this, and he's been climbing uphill, he's been running uphill with 3 backpacks on his back, if you will, whatever, and then all of a sudden those are going to get released, and now he's got talent, and he's got all this understanding. It's gonna be like he's running free. And hopefully he'll be passing free. So it's sort of like another basketball reference. It's like when when Jordan was coming up, he was so seasoned that once he got some players with him, once you actually had Pippen and Grant rolling, they were so ready to go on the dynasty run. So they got to get this year. They've got to get him loaded up so they can come together. But then they're going to be so set up for an extended run of having a potent offense if they can just find the pieces around him.
So Jalen Hurts, right? Is he an MVP candidate for you this year?
Yeah. Okay. I don't think he's going to win it, but he's definitely
up in the conversation, right?
Yeah.
And I think Justin Fields is more talented than Jalen Hurts.
Agreed.
I do
right?
too.
Philly's done a great job of surrounding him with talent. They
Yep.
went out and got Brown. They have arguably one of the best offensive lines, from left tackle to right tackle. Great defensive line. And I said the Bears should emulate what Philly has done because obviously Justin Fields can't maintain the amount of times he's run. He's going to be a mobile quarterback either way. But I think once he gets the weapons, he's not going to run as much. It's now surrounding him with talent. Poles put him in a tough position this year, but it was for his whole plan, right? Get a lot of money, get a lot of draft picks, and let's try to rebuild this team that way.
All right, let's get the super chat here. TBO41 fan, $10. I know this was brought up yesterday, but I like the idea of Bears filling holes alongside picks by trading back. Tunsil from Houston, Nelson from Indy would be good targets to try to grab for O-line. Well, it's a good segue into what we were going to lead the show with, which is what would we do with the number 1 overall pick? Carm, I'm going to start with you.
Okay, so I've got what I consider to be some realism and some pie in the sky trying to rip off the Houston Texans. But ideally, I want to trade back twice. I want to go from 1 to 2, and then I want to go from 2 to 4. So, and in my 1 to 2 in my rip-off scenario here, it's not a rip-off, Houston. It's a great deal for you. Absolutely great deal. You got to get your quarterback. You need Bryce Young. you 100%. What's that?
Talk into the microphone.
I thought I was right into the mic. You're
like over here.
Well, I was trying to tell him. Okay, let me go into the mic. Hey, Houston, this is a great trade for you.
I just want to make sure they hear you.
Yeah, listen,
Nick Caserio,
this is the deal that you need.
Maybe actually keep the head coach you hire this time.
So we're
my thoughts.
Yeah, we're going 1 to 2, and the Houston Texans are going to give us their 2, and they're going to give us their number 12 overall, so they can go up and get their quarterback. We're just getting their extra number 1 pick, no big deal. You get the quarterback, and you tell all your fan bases that you got your quarterback, and it was worth the price of poker. And hey, we've got him, and we're set. So 2 and 12, I'm trying to bilk off them. If I can't get that 12, I'll take whatever else I can get in the later rounds. And then with the 2, I want to do exactly what the 49ers did with the Bears. So that in 2017, they flipped 3 for 2. We're going to do 2 for 4 with the Colts, who need their quarterback, and they're going to come up and take Will Levis or C.J. Stroud with the number 2. And I'm going to get, and that trade was a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder that year, and then a 3rd round pick the following year. So you're going to give us your 4, a 3rd, a 4th, and then a future 3rd. And since it's not 3 for 2, it's 4 for 2. I will.
So confused right now.
Are you?
Yes, there's a lot of numbers being thrown around.
I'm very confused.
All I'm doing is dropping 2 spots with the Colts.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
I'm dropping 2 spots, and I'm getting a 3rd rounder and a 4th rounder in the draft for it.
Okay.
That's all. That's what's up.
All right.
And I'm going to end up with the 3, a 3rd, a 4th, and the 11th. 3, a 3,
A 3rd round pick?
No.
Wait.
Hold on. I have 4 overall. Okay.
Okay.
I have 11 overall.
Okay.
From the first trade, and I have a 3rd.
Okay.
And I have a 4th.
Okay.
4 picks.
All this year, nothing next year.
Yeah. Yes, all this year. 4 picks for the 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is a question that's going to come up 1,000 times between now and the draft. I see it from Sean, and I'm just pointing it out because it's actually a good question, but it also has a very good, obvious answer. His question is, Houston knows we don't want a quarterback. Why would they do that trade? The same reason Ryan Pace moved up 1 spot with the 49ers, who did not need a quarterback, although it turned out they did. Other teams are going to be looking to trade up. So if you're Houston and you want the quarterback, you got to trade up too. The only way to prevent somebody from leapfrogging you is to trade with the Bears. Doesn't mean they're going to do it. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. But it's 100% going to be something that's discussed. If the Bears have the Colts bidding, the Raiders bidding, the Panthers bidding, all these teams bidding for that number 1 pick. The only way to play defense against that, if you're the Texans and Bryce Young is 100% your guy, which might not even be the case. Maybe they like C.J. Stroud. Maybe they like them both, and they're good staying there at number 2 for all we know. But the only way to assure you get your guy then would be to move up 1 spot and to get the 1 pick.
Yep. And there's this narrative out there that's going around that the Bears have to sit Justin Fields down and tell them, like, hey, we're going to act like we like these quarterbacks, but really trust us. You're fine, and they don't need to do that at all.
I agree.
They can.
They don't need to act like they want.
They don't need to act like they need a quarterback. They're, as you just underlined, the Panthers, the Raiders, the Colts, the Texans. Those are 4 teams in the top 10 that all need QBs. They don't have to act like anything.
And C.J. Stroud played pretty lights out in that game, so I think he elevated his stock. So somebody might say, "Hey, I like Stroud over Young." Based on what he was doing in that game. Sometimes that perception, you end with a really great game, all of a sudden it elevates everything.
All right, so you're trading back twice. That's
I'm trading back twice.
What are you doing?
I'm trading back once.
Okay.
To the Colts, right? And I'm trying to work something out to get Quentin Nelson or Buckner. One of those two.
Woo.
If we can get that and maybe give him some later draft picks or later year, because I'm looking at it, Houston, they're going to go with the quarterback, right? Arizona, They got a bunch of needs, right? They need offensive line, they need defensive tackle and end.
And a head
coach.
I'm
just not trading back one more for Seattle because I think they're gonna pick one of those defensive linemen that we need. So I'm trading back with them and trying to get Buckner or Nelson if we can work that out with some later picks or something of that nature. But I just want one time. I'm not doing the double decker trade, but just one time with them. If we could get, imagine if we can get a Quentin Nelson with Tevin Jenkins, if he's able to be healthy. I think that would be really good up the middle. And then potentially if we could get a tackle in free agency, I think that would be a really good situation for the Bears. I don't know if that'd be able to happen, to get one of those guys, but it would be if the numbers made sense, picks made sense for the Colts. I think that could be something that could be attractive.
And I wonder specifically when it comes to maybe some wide receivers available, if that's where you can combine the picks to get the right wide receiver without losing too much and still, be able to make your high draft pick trade. Here's something I want to – so I like both your scenarios. What I wanted to bring up is everybody's trade. And I get it. And I love it. I love the concept of it and adding more draft capital. I also – want to be very careful, though, that you don't trade too far back. And so my thought here is don't trade past the number 2 pick, ideally. So if you can get something with Houston, which a good comment I just saw a couple seconds ago, which I wanted to bring up because love you, Carm, you're not getting the 12 overall pick for moving back 1 spot. Just doesn't – go back and look at the Trubisky trade. The Bears gave up a 3rd and a 4th.
That's fine.
And then a future 3rd, and I think they got back a 5th.
And I'll do my second trade twice. So I'll have 2 3s and 2 4s.
But what I do wonder if you could get is the Texans' 2nd round pick. Even if you have to end up giving back like a 4th or something like that to even it out, which would get you essentially back the pick you traded for Claypool because you'd be picking 33. The Steelers would be ahead of you at 32, which was originally the Bears' pick, but maybe you can get back that early 2nd round pick, which would make me feel better about everything. I'm just being selfish. So that's interesting to me. But the reason why I say be careful about moving too far back is, and I went back to 2017 on this, but let's go back and look a little bit at the top picks in the draft that were not quarterbacks. And I think you're going to see a little bit of a theme here. So, again, this is non-quarterbacks drafted like in the top 3, but it kind of depends by year. So, last year, Trayvon Walker and Aiden Hutchinson. I think if you watching these dudes,
Killers.
both look like studs.
Yeah.
Walker's got a little bit more seasoning that's got to come, but he's, to me, having a pretty good year. Hutchinson, out of all the guys I saw try to defend Justin Fields this year at the line of scrimmage, I think he was the best.
Yeah.
I mean, his ability to surf and then still recover.
The athleticism, though, to match him step for step. And I know Justin Fields wasn't 100%, but that was really impressive.
So what I'm getting at is, like, there's dudes at the top of the draft. And you start to get back even like the 4th or 5th pick. Now you're talking more about like good players. But I'm talking about like superstars, like really high-level difference makers that make an impact right away, okay?
It's just more of a sure thing.
It's just more of a sure thing. But also I think the proof is in the pudding here that that's kind of what you're getting when you're making the first pick. Yes, there's examples of busts in history, but I'm going more recently here. There really aren't that many examples of busts. So Derek Stingley Jr., I honestly don't know how good of a rookie year he had. I'd have to go back and watch the Texans more.
Jeff Okuda's not exactly.
Okay, let me go through the years. We're still on 2022 here.
Okay, I'll calm down. Keep going.
Sauce Gardner, then the next one, who looks
Sauce
like a
been
stud.
lights out. Yeah.
So it looks like a stud. So the first 4 picks last year that were not quarterbacks, 3 of them, to me, look like they can be superstars. And maybe, we'll see on Stingley. So 2021 then is a very interesting year because a lot of quarterbacks taken, a lot of good players taken. Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, Penei Sewell, J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain, Devonta Smith, Micah Parsons, Rashawn Slater. I mean, that 2021 draft was
A lot of Pro Bowlers.
kind of the exception to the rule, though, but it really was stacked. Now, that being said, what I'm trying to get at, though, is superstar. Do I like Kyle Pitts? Do I like Surtain, Devonta Smith? Yes, but honestly, from that list, Jamar Chase and Micah Parsons are on a different level.
Right, and you're very much not. You can't count on getting Micah Parsons at 13.
Slater,
Yes.
too.
Yeah,
For the
Slater's a
injury.
stud.
I mean, he was Pro
Yeah.
Bowl as a rookie. Like, would have been this year if he didn't hurt his. I think he pulled his quad or tore his quad or
Right.
something like that. But
2020, Chase Young right at the top of the draft. And then to your point, Carm, which is actually proving my point, you had Jeffrey Okudah, Andrew Thomas.
Right.
Pretty big drop-off right away from Chase Young.
exactly.
And I know Young was dealing with the injury too, but when he was healthy,
He was.
stud. 2019, Nick Bosa at the top, Quinnen Williams, Cleveland Farrell after that. 2018, Saquon Barkley. Again, you can blame the ACL and everything. Dude's an absolute beast,
This
though,
year.
when he's healthy, and he
Showed it.
came back this year. And then you go to Denzel Ward, Bradley Chubb. Now, that was the Quentin Nelson, Roquan Smith. To me, though, Barkley and Nelson are the ones that are, like, different
Yeah.
level.
Nelson was a great pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that popular at the time.
And then 2017, Myles Garrett off the top. Bears take Trubisky. The next pick was Solomon Thomas, though. So what I'm getting at is every single one of these years, except if you want to say the Falcons reaching for Kyle Pitts, and that hasn't exactly worked out.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great year. But Jamar Chase was right there.
Yeah.
So I would just fault the Falcons for that more. The first guy that's not a quarterback taken has been an absolute stud.
Yeah.
So I love the idea of trading back to get more, but you also need real-ass football players if you're going to really turn this thing around. So I'm just saying, be careful. If you can do a deal with the Texans and maybe get back that second-round pick, that's an ideal world, and maybe that's even a stretch. But if you could do that and then land your pass rusher and Will Anderson or Jalen Carter as your 3 technique, an absolute difference maker right away, to me, that's the perfect scenario.
Don't you believe that 4 is the latest we want to go? Because I think Houston's going to get the quarterback. The Colts, if you trade with them, they're going to go quarterback. And then basically it just depends on what Arizona does, whether they go Will Anderson, whether they go Jalen Carter or an offensive lineman. So then essentially you're going to be able to get one of your guys, whether it's Carter or Anderson.
Yeah.
At that point. So I think 4 is the latest I go because Seattle is looking for defensive line help potentially too. They might give Geno Smith another year, draft a quarterback in the later rounds, and see how that goes. And then Detroit's after them. So I think 4 is my limit, the farthest I'll go back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. This can be a moving target. It's January 9th. I would just, if I'm Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, I'm going, look, these are these are the can't miss guys, right? And we're not willing to budge past that because we have to get one of these dudes. We have to. To me, it's more important than just pie in the sky add all this draft capital. Because I look at the Titans. They're the teams that traded out of the number 1 pick with the Rams when the Rams drafted Jared Goff. And I think they ended up getting Jack Conklin and Derrick Henry out of that. And look, Henry's obviously a phenomenal player, but it's also not a premier position. Exactly. And Conklin's not even on the team anymore. Yeah. So it's like, yeah, it's great to have all this draft capital, but what are you going to do with it? And are you really going to hit on all of it? And I think the thing is you got to have the absolute difference makers. So that's what I would do with number 1 pick.
So Anderson and Carter, it's fair to say for us, right? Like they are pretty sure lock. Nothing's a for sure pick,
right?
But it's a pretty safe option with both of those, either of those two.
And what I'm trying to show you is I think at the top of the draft there are. Everyone always says there's not, no such thing as a for sure thing, but we're sure seeing a lot of evidence that there actually is.
Exactly.
At the very, very top of the draft. And there's obviously a difference between Aiden Hutchinson and Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are guys you like. These are guys you feel good about for the future. But that's different from, I'm going to step on the field the first day at training camp and be the dude.
Exactly. It's confidence. It's a little bit of everything,
I got to be honest. Right now, I'm in my head also just about because the way you're talking, I'm thinking about drafts down the line. Like ideally, if the Bears could set themselves up that you've got multiple first-round picks next year and maybe even 2 years out, if we're going to get real greedy here, like this pick for 3 number 1s, one next year, one the next year.
So that's why Adam asked you earlier, like, oh, you're just getting stuff from this year?
Yeah, and right. So, I am a moving target right now with the years. But I just think if you do to the point of just the money in free agency and not spending it all this year and maybe not spending all your draft capital this year as far as what you're acquiring. And then you're also making bets, by the way, on yes, I'm giving you this and I don't buy your organization. I don't think you're going to be good and I think I'm going to get a top 10 pick from you next year, top 15, whatever your assessment is. That's also super interesting.
Yep. All right, a quick super chat. We got to take a break. Eli 499 says, Woot just pulled us off on PFF. I think he's talking about their trade simulator. They got Buckner, pick 4, 35, 79, and a 2024 1 for just the first pick.
Okay.
So that is moving back 3 spots, getting a second rounder, which solves that problem, third rounder, and next year's 1. And Buckner. Wow, that seems unrealistic, but
I mean, hey, I didn't see that, but that would be ideal.
Sign me up for that right now.
Because you got your 3 technique.
Yeah.
Then you got Will Anderson.
Yeah.
If you got a Marcus Davenport to play the left end, and all of a sudden, you get a nose, you bring Justin Jones back at nose, get some guys at depth in the later rounds. That's a pretty good defensive line. I would like that.
I mean, is that PFF or is it? What website is he using?
But that would be an ideal situation. Yeah. I would take that trade every time.
Let's do it right now, Andy.
They need a quarterback. I mean, so
they're desperate.
You just never know.
Yeah.
Everyone says, "Oh, that might be unrealistic," but the culture, like, "Hey, we want our guy over the Texans. Let's give you that."
Look, they have a desperate owner. They have a desperate GM right now who's tried everything. Never knew it. When he took that job, he had no idea Andrew Luck was going to walk away. They've tried to fill that with veterans. It hasn't worked. Who knows who's going to be their head coach? So it could get very interesting. All right, we got to take a quick break here. I want to tell you about Shady Rays. They've been awesome with us, and I was wearing the sun's out today. Finally, it's great. I was driving with my Shady Rays coming down from Hallis Hall.
I had my Shady Rays on today, too. By the way, we don't take breaks on the show. We're just hanging out. We're not, there's no break. We're right here.
We are taking a break from talking about the Bears right now to talk about Shady Rays.
And I disagree. Jack Sanborn would look amazing in the Shady Ray. I took him up.
Where was Jack Sanborn today?
He was there.
You saw Jack today?
Yeah, he was wheeling around.
I didn't see him.
By the way, I was going through my phone, and I've got the Sanborn interview that I did that I thought was awkward. It's actually great, and we're going to play it I don't know. We have a whole offseason.
When did you do this interview?
8 months ago. But it's a solid.
Well, we are going to need content to fill in June, so we'll save it for that.
I mean, we might have to play it on a loop just next week for like the whole show. It's so good.
All right, Shady Rays never understood why sunglasses were so expensive. They went out and changed that. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses because Shady Rays has you covered with premium polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. And the best part is they have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Drop them in a lake, off a cliff, whatever. They will replace them. And you might think, all right, well, if they have that great of a protection program, how good are the sunglasses? Well, the reality is they are good, great quality, and Shady Rays customers agree with over 200,000 5-star reviews. They also provide 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed. They've donated over 20 million meals to date, which is awesome. This is exclusive for our listeners right now. Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use code CHGO for 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. Buy one, get one free. You can get 2 pairs for as low as $54. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
So I got to tell you that there's nothing like a good battle on the Chi-Town Cornhole board, but the Duke versus Don Burr in the chat right now is amazing. So, Duke, I see you. You're doing a great job. But Chi-Town Custom Cornhole is the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois, dating all the way back to 2007. This is veteran-owned, veteran-operated. You know it. You love it. They can design their cornholes with digital printing. They cover them in vinyl. They're painted. They've got the drink holders. These things look sweet. They're perfect for any corporate outing, backyard barbecue, wedding gifts. Let's go. Basically gifts for all occasions. Tailgaters, you know it. You love it. Check out the website, ChiTownCornhole.com. You can also follow them on Instagram at Chi-Town Custom Cornhole Boards if you want to check them out. Chi-Town Cornhole, right there for your battle alongside the Duke and Don Burr.
There you go.
Team.
You know what? Congrats to Don Burr.
Nah, that sucked. But yes, congrats.
I mean, they didn't get into the playoffs, but that was a big win over the Packers last night. And I got to say, I'm a little bummed. I like that Lions team. They're fun to watch. I would have much rather see them play San Francisco on Saturday than the Seahawks.
I know.
Well, I don't know, man. That team's going to be a problem.
That Carolina
the Lions?
game.
Yes.
That Carolina game for them before they played us. Like, how about Carolina, though? The way they played. They've been playing pretty consistent. It's
they got a decision to make there with Steve Wilkes.
I think they should bring him back.
They played hard for him. They also badly need a quarterback because Sam Darnold was terrible in that game yesterday. But they somehow won because that's what they do.
I just had one hot take on the Lions yesterday.
Okay.
If I was Detroit and you did not schedule me opposite the Seahawks, and so I know 30 minutes before game time that my game means absolutely nothing, and I'm just supposed to go out here and wreck my body for pride before I have my offseason. I'm going on a cruise, like my guy Trevis Gipson's going to hang out on the little siesta. No, how's this? You and your TV money? How's this? We ain't playing. Sorry, not interested. Just not. No.
I'm really glad Dan Campbell's their coaching, not you.
Well, what kind of integrity is that, NFL? You got teams fighting for a playoff spot on the last day of the season. You're going to put them opposite so they know right before they walk out of the field that their season is done. Those games should be played opposite each other.
I agree. This is why we had this conversation last week.
Right. So no. Okay, it means nothing for us.
Honestly, when it happened, my brain went the other way. I thought this team is going to use this game as like this is our our stake in the
Super
ground.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Like for next year, we're going to use this game. Look, we just kicked this Packers ass in Lambeau and knocked them out of the playoffs. This is our stepping stone for next year.
Yeah. We talked about momentum for the offseason. I agree with that.
I think of all the teams that could possibly have been in that situation yesterday, the Lions were the worst nightmare for the Packers. Because just the way that they were 1-6. Everything was a bonus at this point. Yeah, it sucks they got eliminated, but they were able to go out there and just play loose and free. They're running hook and ladders with 3 minutes left in the game.
They're having fun.
Going for every fourth. Was there any doubt in your mind they were going for that fourth down at the end?
No.
No, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
And that was...
And not only that, they didn't run into the line. They threw it. Just go.
The confidence.
Do what you're going to do. Yeah.
On 4th and short, to throw
no
the
pressure
ball
at all.
And on the flip side is if they're alive, then that's a playoff game. And now do you play tight? Do you get tight? A lot more on the line. These are young players. It's a really young team that's never been in that situation before.
I don't know, but at least to be playing for something.
But you don't think when I said about building momentum in the offseason, you kind of said, you don't think, especially against the Packers, when they're talking about Aaron Rodgers, this could be maybe his last game there at their home.
Oh, I definitely think that built momentum for them. To me, it's like, some college teams care about bowl games more than others, but a lot of, I've seen Northwestern news. You can use that as a springboard for the next season.
Exactly.
Go out there. That's your Super Bowl. You get that momentum. You carry that in the offseason. That's a real thing. And I think that's – I'm not saying – look, you always want to make the playoffs. But if you're the Lions, do you feel better going in the offseason right now than if you lose by 30 to the 49ers next week?
Yeah, you do feel
right?
better, yeah. And I think just their culture in general, I would love to play for a guy like Dan Campbell. What he's built over there, and I know people were talking about his job earlier in the season, but I'm like, what they built there and just seeing how the people buy into what he's doing in the locker room, Jamal Williams, Aiden Hutchinson, how they're all just having fun the past couple weeks. Think about it. Aiden Hutchinson in the Bears game, man, he's hiding out by the sideline, jumps out of nowhere, gets the pick. They're rocking. They're having a good time. So I like what he's been able to do to build the culture because the Lions have been terrible for a while, and it seems like they're on the up and up. They're 2 to 3 positions away from being a very dominant team.
Yep. Yeah, and they got 2 first-round picks this year. They're in a scary position. I also want to point out real quick, and we got a lot to get to here in the next 20 minutes or so. But I tweeted this last night. Worth noting for the 3-14 Chicago Bears, the Jaguars were 3-14 last year. The Lions went 3-13-1. Both finished 9-8 this year. But the Jaguars started 2-6. The Lions started 1-6. So it'd be great to be 9-8 by this time next year, but don't be surprised if early in the year, and we've talked about this a little bit. I know Carman V said this too on our show last week, is it might not just take off from week 1 no matter what all the additions are that the Bears make this offseason.
I'm just going through Woot's career to try to see if there's any momentum going into next season, validity to what my guy who's played in the league and knows a little bit more about it than either of us.
I don't think Detroit's situation is so different because they've been so bad for so long.
I do think that there is some level of you just wanted Lambeau and sure.
And Aaron Rodgers potentially, maybe they're talking about him being his last game.
Did you when he was walking off and him and Cobb are in the tunnel together and
hugging?
Yeah, did you feel it?
And shoving cameras
on. I think it might be his last game.
You think that was it?
I think so.
Right there, that walk.
I think so.
Bestie's going off to Ziwataneo. That's what it felt like. That if this was Shawshank and they didn't have to crawl through all the sewers, that's how Morgan Freeman and Tim Robbins would have left, just like Rodgers and Cobb last night, off to Ziwataneo to the boat.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers you better surround me with some wide receivers next year, or else I'm out.
I love you, man.
I am playing because he needs some talent there at wide receiver.
I gotta say, I thought shout out to the Packers reporters. I thought they did. I watched that entire press conference last night. I thought they did a really good job at the questioning. I thought Aaron Rodgers handled himself incredibly well. He was respectful. There was one reporter at one point that was like, I don't mean to sound like a prick. He literally said that. And Aaron was like, look, man, we've known each other for a long time. It's all good. You don't have to apologize for tough questions. I get it. Rodgers doesn't always come off that way, but last night I thought he really handled everything well. He answered the questions as much as he could, and I honestly think right now he doesn't know what he's going to do.
Yeah.
But,
forever.
I don't believe these guys. You saw Tom Brady last year. You get away from it for a month, dude's going to want to be back.
He's going to be playing somewhere regardless.
I think he's playing somewhere. I just don't know if it's Green Bay because there's one of his most interesting answers last night, actually, I thought, was that there was – what was the tweet? I just let me pull this up because it was from Ryan Wood, who covers the Packers. said Aaron Rodgers says there's a feeling the Packers could go young at quarterback, but nothing more than a feeling. Nothing like that has been said to him. Quote, I think to assume it's a foregone conclusion that they want me back would be slightly egotistical, so I'm going to be a realist here.
That is amazing that he said that.
Well, especially because Rodgers can be egotistical, that's for sure. So
as he should be. He's
and by the
Aaron
way,
damn-ass Rodgers.
If you're the Packers, and I've been arguing this now for like 3 years, I thought they should have gone in a different direction 2 years ago. And instead, they doubled down on him, and then they tripled down on him with that ridiculous contract last year. So,
well, yeah, I guess if you're thinking about it, right, like you make an argument he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, right?
Right.
And you're basically banking on a young, unproven quarterback, whether you draft somebody, banking on him to be even close to what Aaron Rodgers is or be
tough,
decent,
yeah.
right? It's tough. So you're like, quarterbacks are playing longer and longer, and, he's a competitor. He wants to be out there. So they've had a great situation at quarterback from Favre to him. They really haven't had the bumps that, a lot of these teams have had, especially like us, the Bears. Oh, how many quarterbacks they every game they show it, like how many quarterbacks we've had since like 2000 or something like that. It's been unbelievable.
Brady leaves Tampa, goes and has an ending of the 7 places being rumored to. And then Aaron goes down to Tampa, finishes up, shows Tom that, hey, you couldn't win it last year. I came down here. I won it. Henceforth, me GOAT, you not GOAT. There it is.
What about San Francisco? Jimmy Garoppolo, Trey Lance to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers. San Francisco's got about 2 years with this current roster, the defensive line, everybody.
I can see Brady going back to San Francisco. I feel like Rodgers still holds a grudge over them not drafting him, that he wouldn't go there.
Really?
I'm telling you. Here's what I'm going to tell you right now. I'm 100% true. It's going to happen. Week 1. Packers at Raiders. They play in Las Vegas next year. Packers at Raiders. Aaron Rodgers comes out of the tunnel wearing silver and black.
Devontae Adams.
Yeah, with Devontae Adams. Derek Carr comes out of the other tunnel wearing green and gold.
Wow. You think they do a straight up trade?
Well, it wouldn't be straight up.
Yeah,
I mean, the Packers would be getting how about that first round pick the Raiders have?
Yeah.
What do they end up with? 8 or 9? They're right there. Now the Packers have 2 first-round picks. They're not completely sold on Jordan Love, but now they bring in a veteran. They
got some talent.
Buy some more time. Maybe they still draft C.J. Stroud. Maybe they're able to get him there.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There's a lot of weapons in Oakland, right? Waller, Renfro, Devontae Adams. There's no reason why you shouldn't do well with that talent right there. Yep. Imagine if we had that for the Bears this year.
Well, your head coach is a bit of a bum.
McDaniels.
Yeah.
Aaron to the Patriots. He's going to show you won with Belichick. I can win with Belichick.
But can't potentially anybody win with Belichick? Hasn't he proven it?
Not Mac Jones. Not.
If there's one thing Aaron's shown us, though, and he's talked about this last night, too, he cares about who he's playing with. It might seem silly that Randall, he forced Randall Cobb back on the team, but dude wants to hang out with his buddies.
Yeah.
And, that's a big part of the job. It's a long grind. You want to be with people that you like and care about. So that's why I think he would be – I don't know if he's going to the Patriots. Who does he know there? Does he want to play for Belichick? He wants control, man. Belichick ain't giving you control.
I guess see Raiders or 49ers. I can see those.
I'm just trying to pick spots where he can climb over Brady. New England doesn't make a whole lot of sense at all. Basically makes no sense.
Climb over Brady?
In his mind, I think he thinks
so. He's going to go somewhere and win 7 straight Super Bowls to climb over Brady?
See, he's going to be a little bit more nuanced than
Brady, Rodgers.
See, but he's going to be a little bit more nuanced than everybody else in sports argument land. Is like, well, he has 7 and he's got 5, so the guy with 7's got to be more. And there's absolutely no understanding of rosters and talent. And
there's a big difference between 7 and 1.
I got it.
Can you imagine if Brady wins this year with the team they have now and how they've been playing? If he won a Super Bowl this year, that would just further his GOAT status. If he could turn the things around the way he did and win a Super Bowl.
Oh, they're going to beat the Cowboys next week.
Yeah, we're already talking about that.
But how about that? If he messed around and won a Super Bowl again,
yeah,
with this roster, everything going on with his family, him and his wife breaking up and all that and winning a Super Bowl. Like there's no one that could even touch him. Still, they can't touch him, but if he could do that.
Is there a Cub show at 120?
They are remote.
Okay,
so
it doesn't matter. I'll still keep
mess
that
around here.
All right, thank you. All right, we want to talk about we want to each pinpoint a clear example of the Bears' success this year and a failure from this season, from 2022. And the one caveat was can't be about Justin Fields, because I think we'd all agree Justin Fields' season would be number one on the list. So I'll go first. How about that? So my success for the season actually has to do with Matt Eberflus. And I think that there's no question that the culture and the foundation that was put in place, the idea of championship habits that Flus has talked about, that there was buy-in, the HITS principle. I think there was buy-in. I don't know if there was always perfect results. Seeing things like Kyler Gordon not touch down a wide receiver last week in Detroit is concerning. But I do think that turns around with more talent. And I certainly think the concept of buy-in and the players believing in what was being preached from the coaching staff was a success. And so I would say that that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. And Carman and I were just in this locker room this morning. That did not feel like I've been at locker room cleanout days many times. One of the most vivid memories I have was when Lovie Smith got fired and Devin Hester's crying at his locker, like legitimately. I mean, that was a sad day. Like it was an emotional, sad day. Yeah. Corey, you were part of that.
Yeah, and he wasn't the only one crying. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
about half the team at that point, just because people love playing for him, and everyone's thinking 10-6. How you get fired at that point when we got a top 5 defense? The offense had some trouble. I wish he could have stayed and they could have figured out the offensive situation. But yeah, people were willing to run through a brick wall for Lovie Smith.
So think about that. You guys went 10-6. You won your last game too. It wasn't like you're coming off a loss, exactly. And yet that just felt like bad. Like it just didn't feel like a good situation at the franchise. I'm sure you guys didn't feel in the locker room like it was the right move. And here the Bears are today. They just lost 10 freaking games in a row. And that didn't feel like a team that was 3-14. I think that's a credit to what the coaching staff put in place this year, the proper expectations. Despite losing 10 games in a row, that culture and foundation's there.
Well, look how competitive they were in pretty much every game. Even being outmatched, they took Philadelphia down to the wire, Miami down to the wire, and always defensively, especially because Eberflus is a defensive-minded coach. First half, always struggled. Second half, adjustments, being able to bounce back. So him and Alan Williams together were able to get the best out of the team in the second half. They're running to the football for the most part, with the exception of maybe that Detroit game. They were kind of lazy, but I think the effort was there. It was a talent issue defensively, especially if you don't have a dominant defensive line. Good luck. And the secondary played pretty well pass defense-wise, all things considered.
I mean, 1-7 in one-score games. So, yeah.
But that's the mark of a bad team. You're not able to close those. So I think it was strictly talent at that point. Yeah. You look at the Chiefs, those games, they win because they're a great team. They find a way to win.
Now, my failure for the season is Ryan Poles' first free agent class. And the reason why I call it a failure, because I get what it really was. It was a bunch of holdovers that you didn't want to mortgage the future at all by giving out big money. But the reality is he tried to give considerable money to a 3 technique in Larry Ogunjobi, and it didn't work out.
$26 million.
He tried to get Ryan Bates on an RFA deal.
$13 million.
And it didn't work out. Lucas Patrick didn't work out.
Yes.
Justin Jones, who was the other guy on a 2-year deal.
11.
I like him to be a rotational guy still on the team next year.
I like him at nose.
But in a perfect scenario, that's a guy who maybe didn't get the best opportunity with the Chargers or was dealing with injuries or for whatever reason and comes here. Now, credit to him, he played a full season, which was a good step for him. And, again, I like him. I think he's a piece you keep around. But I guess my point is out of all these guys that they signed on these short 1 or 2 year deals that they're almost taking flyers on, Nicholas Morrow, Equanimous St. Brown, like some of these guys are solid, or Al-Qadim Muhammad, not one of them emerged as like, oh, he's definitely a starter next year. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying everything needs to turn into Akeem Hicks, but that would have been nice to have one guy that came from a different situation, fit this scheme, whether it was offense or defense, and blossom into a dude you want to give a long-term extension to. There's not a single guy that you want to give a long-term extension. I know EQ got a 1 year deal for almost nothing. They're bringing him back, but that's different. I'm talking about sign him to a big money deal, and not a single one of those guys emerged.
No,
I would quibble with that. That's a down because I think that's exactly what Ryan Poles was trying to do. Let me get guys in here who are good in the locker room, who will help build the culture, who we can basically decide down the line which of these guys is going to be a rotational piece for us. Nicholas Morrow, I would think, would be somebody like that who had his moments and compiled a bunch of tackles and is also probably not a primetime guy, but certainly somebody that you would want on your team. So I think he really did exactly what he set out to do here.
But he left the offense, Fields, and the defense in a tough position.
That's true, especially.
Really did. So especially with the quarterback, like defensively, I'm like, okay, we were hoping Al-Qadim Muhammad panned out because he had 6 sacks last year. He looked really good. Trevis Gipson, when Khalil Mack gets hurt, he all of a sudden steps up. He's playing opposite Quinn. He has 7 sacks. We're like, oh, he's going to take the next step and potentially be a starter. Both of those guys, I think, combined for 3 sacks.
Yeah.
And didn't have the pressure, so.
Maybe good transition, Carm, to your success and failure.
Yeah, so success, listen, Roquan was traded on November the 1st. At that point in time, Jack Sanborn had 5 tackles. November 6th, Miami, 7 big ones. Followed by 12 against the Lions, 9 against Atlanta, 15 against the Jets, 11 against Green Bay, including tackle for loss. Did that a bunch of times this year, and then he gets hurt in the Eagles game. But we all fell in love. We all shared texts. And when you think about – and it's amazing, too, walking around the locker room today. Justin Jones, one guy – thank you, Lawrence. That's right.
The Sand God.
The Sand God. Sand Locker. A absolute bona fide success this year. Now, my negative is what we were talking about here. A lot of guys got opportunities when they went and traded Robert Quinn and, Roquan's out the door. But up front, we were just begging, waiting for somebody to touch the quarterback. Dominic Robinson, week 1, he took Trey Lance and ripped him to the ground. And it's like, oh, my God, this looks like an amazing pick. And then he just, was outskilled, strength, whatever. He needs to go do something this offseason.
Alan Williams, what he said about him is like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, well, he's got to change his body.
He's got to do a lot.
I asked Alan Williams, what about Dominic Robinson? What does he need to do to get to the next level? He's like, a lot, basically. It wasn't. He said
he needed to change his body to be ready for a full season.
Change his body. That seems
he
significant.
needs to get stronger.
Well, he needs.
Yeah, and I am hopeful that he can.
The guy was a MAC wide receiver 3 years ago.
Exactly, and he's got a hell of a frame on him. I mean, that dude is a straight.
Probably about 255, 260.
Yeah, and he
could probably gain 15 pounds.
He can more, and he could be very well could be a beast. But same thing. I mean, Trevis Gipson, he was around the quarterback a little, but not nearly enough. So these guys got opportunities, and nobody was really able to capitalize on it. So I would put that in the disappointment umbrella, if you will, or under
success and failure for you, Woot.
Yeah, so success, I would say Braxton Jones, right? I know the Detroit game, he kind of got exposed a little bit, but I feel like for the most part, a 5th-round pick, to potentially be a future tackle, whether it's left or right side. You know, I thought he did pretty well. He really needs to get stronger in there. I think everybody knows that. But I think if he does get stronger, I've said that he reminds me of David Bakhtiari, right? Very good feet. We've seen what he's been able to do on pulling plays, on screens, downfield. He ran a 4.8. He has all the athleticism. He just needs to really work on his strength. So I think that was a positive. You know, and then depending on what they do in the offseason, you know, definitely if he gets stronger and then you find your left tackle of the future, you can move him to the right side. Or if you feel comfortable with him after he gets stronger in a whole nother offseason, he's your left tackle, then you can get a right tackle. So I think that was a success. And it seems like Poles, for the most part, with the draft picks, he did a pretty good job with what he got there. You know, Gordon looks like going to be a starter for the future. Brisker had a pretty solid year, a little bit of eye discipline issues. But, you know, Braxton Jones was a steal. You know, Sanborn being an undrafted free agent was a good pickup. But
Velus actually ended the year on let's not go crazy, but he did end the year on an uptick.
Exactly.
Who did? Sorry.
Velus.
Yeah.
Explosive player, you know.
Which is why when I was claiming let's try to squeeze as much as we can about all the reps left, you're hoping for one thing to emerge, and I do think that Velus at least leaves you with a better feeling going into next season.
Exactly.
Which I think he'll be 32 next year.
Yeah, 38. It's his second year in the league.
He's my age. He's 35.
That joke's never going away. I love it. All right. Hey, tonight, big game, the national championship. And our go-to for betting is DraftKings Sportsbook. Just saying, one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. You can bet just $5 on college football right now and get $200 in free bets instantly, win or lose. Seems like a good deal if you're not on board with us yet with DraftKings. Plus, everyone can combine multiple bets for a bigger payout with DraftKings same-game parlays. The more legs you have in those parlays, the bigger the boost you get. I know I'll have some going tonight. Should be a lot of fun as I think I put all the monitors on the 17 different channels that they have on this game.
I don't know which way to go with this game. Like, does TCU keep it close? Does Georgia just blow them out? It's like I could see either thing happening.
I have a thought on that.
Georgia.
Download Georgia is my thought. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code CHGO. New customers bet just $5 on college football and get $200 in free bets instantly. That's code CHGO. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
And you've got the best coverage of your favorite teams, like the Super Bowl champion 2024 Bears. But you should go out and get the best sports gear around. You know it. You love it. You know where to go. It's FOCO, F-O-C-O. They've got hoodies. They've got slippers. They've got signs. They've got bobbleheads. They've got the perfect gift for the football fan in your life. They got the perfect gift for Woot. They've got you covered with hoodies that, by the way, they will fight the Lake Michigan breeze, although this winter's been pretty mild. But don't jinx. Now I'm jinxing winter. Yeah.
God.
You get it. Jinxing winter. Yesterday I got screamed at yesterday I got screamed at. Don't bring out that thing they wanted to. They're not going to.
Well, that was a legitimate gripe. You didn't even know there was 50 seconds left in that game.
I didn't, and I didn't jinx it.
Another reason why Dan Campbell's the head coach of the Lions.
You got the Sanborn jersey. What happened to him? He rolled his ankle.
Yeah.
Excellent point.
Put it up here. All right.
Excellent point. Playing with the jinx.
FOCO came through for me, by the way.
But FOCO's the greatest. Hoodies that hoodies that'll fight the Lake Michigan breeze, which apparently is right around the corner now. Check out FOCO.com, FOCO.com, or click that link in the description below. All non-presale items. Use the promo code CHGO. FOCO's going to hook you up with 10% off. FOCO
came through for me, man. They have these, like, my son's a big Lego guy, and they have they're not Legos, obviously, but they're like mini Legos almost, like the same type of thing, building blocks, and you can build these stadiums with them. And
we get the Hawks FOCO right over there.
So I ordered one. It came. We're building Camp Randall Stadium right now.
Jump around.
Maybe you can get him to build a Lovie Smith Lego.
Lovie Smith.
I could see that.
Statue.
Did you win in Camp Randall? Say yes.
So.
Just lie. Say
I remember going against Joe Thomas, man, and that was a big dude.
Joe Thomas was it 3 or 4 years now? I'm forgetting. Did he leave a year? Whatever it was, he never It's either he never gave up a sack his entire college career or never had a penalty. It's one of those two.
I think he let up one, and you know who it was two? Bowling Green. Bowling Green.
That's what it
yes.
was. That game
One.
was crazy.
Yeah.
It was like 70-10 or something that game.
Exactly. Yeah,
It was the first game of the season. Bowling Green.
Yeah, it was Bowling
That's
Green.
Funny. Who is that quarterback? Bowling Green. Omar Jacobs.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
dude was insane.
He was legit, man.
You just pulled Omar
I
Jacobs
did.
out of nowhere.
Dude, there's weird things in my brain there.
That was impressive.
Yeah. But trust me, I won't remember what I ate for lunch like 3 hours later.
Dan Persa, I got you.
Dan Persa.
My guy.
Dan
Let's
Persa
go.
strong,
Shout out
baby.
Dan Persa, baby.
Persa strong.
All right. Quickly, before we get out of here, today was locker room clean out day. A couple things I thought were interesting. One, Tevin Jenkins. Do we have a bunch of super chats too?
We have a bunch of super chats.
Okay, we'll get to those. Tevin Jenkins was asked today, essentially, do you feel like you have a starting spot going into next year? And to shorten his answer, it was no. Not that he doesn't think he has a starting spot, but he's not assuming he has a starting spot. His mind immediately went to, well, we got a lot of cap space, and we got a lot of draft capital, and I don't know what they're going to do. And I just thought, first of all, Tevin Jenkins became one of my favorite people in that locker room this year.
He's
He
awesome.
is thoughtful. He is honest. Pat Finley followed up and was like, oh, a lot of people would answer that question just be like, yeah, I'm not going to pay attention to that stuff. And Tevin very nicely, in not the same words, was essentially saying, yeah, those people are lying. No, he said that, you'll get those media answers sometimes. But I'm going to pay attention to it because it affects my livelihood and it affects my family. So good for him. And I think it's just a good, representative of what that locker room is going to be like this offseason. There are very few guys that are sure to spot next year. Tevin Jenkins had a great season. He's proud of himself. He said that today. He feels like he had a good year, but he also feels kind of bumped out because he wanted to finish it, and he couldn't. And now there's legitimate questions about his neck, his back, his hip, all these issues he's had over his first 2 years. He's got a plan, he said. The training staff has a plan. He wants to strengthen his core, which I think will help his back. He's got some neck machine that's helping strengthen his muscles there to help with the stingers he's been dealing with. But, man, he's the guy you want to root for. If healthy, I think he 100% could and should be a starting guard for the Bears next season. But that's a big if.
Exactly. The injury concerns. But I think when he's healthy, he's a Pro Bowl caliber guard, right? And I think him saying that was just him being humble. He's, in my opinion, him and Braxton Jones. I think Braxton Jones has a spot either left tackle or right tackle. And Tevin Jenkins. I think those are the two locks on the offensive line that you're for sure they're going to be here and they'll start at one of those positions. So Braxton Jones, I think he should get that core, like you said, maybe get the Pilates, maybe get the bar 3 going, really work on that core because bigger guys, people fail to realize once you have that disc issue.
You mentioned Pilates, by the way.
Exactly, which is a great thing. Yeah. Really get your core strong because when your core is strong, it takes all the pressure off that spine. And think about it, Tevin Jenkins isn't a wide receiver, that's 190, 200 pounds. He's 315, 310 pounds. A lot of pressure on there. And what do O-linemen do? They bow up and anchor. So that's a lot of pressure on your back. So if he can strengthen the glutes, that back half of the posterior chain, all of a sudden, that keeps him healthy. And I think as a pro, you just have to realize what you have to do to get your body ready because everybody's battling injury stuff. Majority of the offensive line probably has back issues or neck issues. Maybe get one of those neck collars and get on the neck machine. My freshman year in college, I had a stinger where I couldn't feel anything in my arms, and then my neck went from like a size 16 to a 19 and a half just from doing that neck machine. I never had a problem again with the neck. So he's got to do that in the offseason, really get that neck stronger.
He's also got to consider his, according to John Sally, I was listening to Sally on the Knuckleheads pod. He's when you get the disc issue, you got to worry about the amount of hydration you're getting in your lower intestine. So you got to see. There we go.
It is 100% because there's fluid. Yeah,
yes.
the more hydrated you
Sally?
Dude, yeah. he's a hygiene guy, man. Hygiene's the wrong. He's a health nut.
He takes showers. He's clean.
He's a health nut.
I think he's a vegan too.
He's a 100% a vegan, and he was telling Matt Barnes and All the Smoke, like you would have less back issues. Because the discs in your back are sucking the water from your they're not getting enough water. That's why they're messed.
Same thing with the muscles. Justin Fields pulling that hamstring, the hip. He needs to work on his hydration this year. Like it makes a huge difference.
These are things you learn.
Put a little baking soda in the water so you absorb. Otherwise, if you're just having water, it just goes right through you.
Justin Fields has never ran like this.
No.
And
I don't think he wants to run like this ever again.
No.
But
he's like, let's cut that in half.
Yeah. And he had a comment like that today because he was asked, we're disappointed you couldn't set that rushing record.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, a little bit, but I'd much rather set a passing record.
Exactly.
Amen, brother. Did that Justin Jones video you have include what he had to say about Justin Fields?
It does.
Okay, let's play that. It's just short. Justin Jones in the locker room today was asked a few questions, but I thought especially what he had to say about Justin Fields was very interesting. So here is Mark Carman's guy.
Last interview of the year. Look at Hoge in the background.
Quarterback like that, having your franchise quarterback like that. A lot of people are still looking for theirs. We found ours. That's number one right there already. Defensively, we get a lot of guys healthy. I feel like we're going to be a force to be reckoned with. We get Bojack back, we get Jack Sanborn back, we get Jalen back. Guys like that, it's going to be huge. We get some help in the draft. There's a lot of one-year deal guys that probably won't be here next year. So we got to make sure we fill those holes and make sure we get some really good guys in for that. And I think we'll be okay. I'm really excited about that.
What would you say to free agents out there that about coming here?
We work hard out here. So if you ain't ready to work, I suggest that you kind of look the other way because we're working in Chicago.
So if you knew that the year had gone this way, would you still have been here just kind of sort of wait for what the future's going to be?
Yes, hands down. I love Chicago. When they first called me, I was kind of like, damn, it's about to be cold out there. I ain't gonna lie. I played a game that was 10-degree weather. I feel like I could do anything now. Yeah. But listen, man, this locker room, the guys in here, it makes it so much better. Like, you wouldn't think we were losing just the way the morale was on the team. And that's just, kudos to the guys that's in here because they make this shit fun. Losing is not fun, but the guys make this fun. Guys make coming to work fun.
I can't tell you how many locker rooms I've been. Corey, you've been in those locker rooms where you're losing and everybody they don't want to be there. Yep. When's the season over? That was not the case with this team during a 10-game losing streak. I still can't get over that, to be honest with you. I think it says a lot about the culture and what they put in place, and also understanding expectations too. I think these guys got it. Yep. And then you heard what he had to say about the quarterback. We got our guy.
I think it's interesting too, just the way guys think about coming to Chicago. This dude played for the Chargers for 4 years. I'm going to Chicago. It's freezing. Yeah. I'm living the LA lifestyle. I'm living the West Coast lifestyle. I get into my car in flip-flops after practice and I go to the beach. Right, Lawrence?
Sounds amazing.
Sounds amazing. I'm coming to Chicago. It's freezing cold and they're going to suck.
You know what, though,
but
man?
The history of being a Bear and being a defensive lineman, right, or somebody on the defense. I mean, Monsters of the Midway, the history here. I think everybody wants to be a part of that. Like, that's a defensive player for sure.
Also, I don't feel sorry for these guys.
I'm not feel sorry.
They're all in their cars going to Texas and Florida and California tomorrow, okay?
Exactly.
And by the way, these are the only months that, in my opinion, suck in Chicago. Like, once we get through Christmas, love it. The fall is great in Chicago. Yeah. We kind of got robbed this year. They're here for OTAs. Little bit in April sucks, but once you get to May, man, it's great. Summer.
And Chicago's a great city. You got a lot to do.
Summertime shy, baby.
The flip side, too, a lot of these guys would much rather be in Chicago and Green Bay during training camp than down in Miami.
That's fair.
Or in some of these southern cities where the humidity is just ridiculous during camp. Wouldn't you much rather? I always remember, I think it was Josh Sitton is like from Florida, and then he ended up on the Packers. And when he left the Packers, he's like, I didn't want to leave the North. He was like, I like it here. I don't want to go back to Florida where it's hot all the time.
Green Bay?
Yeah,
I've never heard that.
I thought he was well, like Chicago is an upgrade.
Yeah.
But like his point was he didn't want to leave the cold weather.
That's an interesting take. I get the season. Like, I understand if you want to come to Chicago, but like literally everyone I've talked to that played for Green Bay, they're like, yep, as soon as the last meeting our ass is out of there. Like, we ain't staying up there.
I think he lived up there in the offseason,
Oh, my
too.
gosh.
I know it.
There is nothing to do out there.
I know.
Like,
Some people like that, though.
I don't know.
Remember, have you heard stories about Mike McCarthy's compound? Massive compound with, like, basketball court, indoor basketball court and all this stuff. It's just out in the woods, man. Nobody bothers you.
25-year-old NFL guy living the life, making millions.
Yeah.
See you later,
Yeah.
Green
Oh,
Bay.
I'm with you. Well, that's my point. All these guys, even these Bears, are going back down to Texas, back down to Florida, over to California.
Not Sanborn. He's coming to the Bears.
I
maybe.
bet you Sanborn's taking some of that bonus money he got and going somewhere nice.
I don't know.
Or at least a little bit.
No, he's taking his truck and he's driving it wherever.
He didn't even spend any of that this year. Living at
Exactly.
home in Lake Zurich.
Mom's making lasagna tonight. That's what's
Mom,
up.
where's the meatloaf?
All right, let's get to some of these super chats, and then we'll get out of here. This is awesome. What a crew today on a Monday. I love it. The Duke.
The Duke. The man, the myth, the legend.
The Duke coming through with these long super chats that don't fit on the screen. I'm very nervous that Carter doesn't have the stamina. His coach is yelling at him to get back on the field in the semifinals. It's very concerning in terms of hits principle. I think Anderson is a much better fit.
Interesting.
I mean, I would say that's something you can work on once you get in the NFL and understand what it takes. It's a fair concern. I will say I cannot wait to watch Jalen Carter tonight because I was a little disappointed in him in the semifinals, without a doubt. And so let's see how he bounces back.
Look at Myles Garrett when he's first coming out. Everybody questioned his motor and all this, and look how it's turned out for him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of guys realize when they get to the next level, you got to turn it up. You know, especially being a high draft pick like that. It definitely is concerning, but I think the way he flashes, and we got to see tonight too. But if we can get a D tackle, you know, in the offseason, in free agency, then all of a sudden Will Anderson is a more realistic option at that point.
The motor thing, that's where if you are going to go down that road and take somebody who doesn't have a high motor, you got to rely on the culture that you got,
and your position coach, which is huge.
Yeah. Who's going to motivate? Let's go.
All right, next one, also from the Duke. Man, the Duke's our guy. He is just
so
coming.
good.
$499 yesterday.
$399.
$7,000 yesterday on the super chat.
$8,000. I mean,
Let's go.
You add it all up from the year. It might be.
Living the life with the Duke.
Breaking news: Texans expected to honor Brandon Cook's trade request. Bear. #Bear. I don't think I've thought of Brandon Cook since week 3 when they played the Texans. So I don't know.
I'd take some
Could be
Brandon
an
Cooks.
option.
I'd take some Brandon
How many times has
Cooks.
that guy been traded?
But it could be an option. It's definitely better than
Current upgrade for sure.
My guy Tony, the pod boss, is Lovie Smith an option at team CEO or D coordinator?
And Dylan also threw $5
Chance Bears
asking.
get Lovie as DC since he got canned. Look,
If Woot's doing the hiring, absolutely happening.
I would hire him in a heartbeat.
I think what the connection from Flus is maybe one of those senior assistant roles would be somewhat realistic. I just can't see him canning Alan Williams.
Yeah.
After
I'm predicting there will be at least some. That staff is not coming back completely intact. I think he's going to make just by his end of year comments. I think something's coming.
well, we already one of the secondary coaches I think is already leaving for a different job.
That doesn't count. I'm saying somebody that he's
Probably defensive line
saying
coach.
goodbye to.
Okay. Well, honestly, it's 1:20. Those types of things happen today.
Today, tomorrow.
Normally.
Today, tomorrow.
So,
Do you think realistically Lovey will come back after being fired? I just can't see that. Maybe I don't know.
Here?
Yeah, like back to the same place where they fired.
Yeah, I think that's tough. Also, I know this is what he is. He's a coach. He loves coaching, but like,
Exactly.
it's been a tough 10 years for Lovey, man. He got fired by the Bears. He got fired by the Bucks. He had to live in Champaign. No, he got fired by Illinois, and now he's got fired by the Texans.
He's 64 years old.
He's up. At what point do you just take some time off? I mean, I think Illinois is still paying him.
Yeah.
There's 3 years left on that deal that he signed with the Texans.
Lovie Smith net worth. This is probably dead wrong, but it says $20 million.
Let's ask Lovey.
Which is a good number.
Yeah.
Lovey's right there on the screen.
Very comfortable, but a lot of these coaches, man,
that's a great question, Adam.
They want to do it till they
time.
can. Yeah. They want to do it till they can. That's what
I get it. It's not for the dome.
I was surprised
guys,
retired.
I don't know what I'm gonna
all
do
3 phases.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna take some time off. And I loved his answer yesterday though, when they asked him like, "Hey, why didn't you lose?" I'm supposed to look at a locker room full of dudes that have been fighting their whole life to win football games in the National Football League and tell them to lose? Like, are you nuts?
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
His press conference yesterday I think, as far as any Lovey press conference ever, I think it was the time that I liked him the most.
Yeah. All right. Storm Blessed, $5. Is it crazy to take a QB at number 1 if no one wants to trade for the number 1 spot to force someone to trade for that QB?
Yes. I think the answer is yes. You can't make, if nobody wants, that's not going to happen. But if nobody wanted to trade up for whatever reason, just screw you, Ryan Poles. I'm not giving you anything. We know you want to trade out. We're not doing nothing with the Bears. You take your guy then.
Yeah. Somebody's trading up.
Yeah,
somebody's trading up.
Can we get Andy Young's super chat? I like this question. I saw it on Twitter yesterday too. $1.99. Bears on Hard Knocks with Justin Fields and a number 1 pick. Here's the thing. The Bears have been dodging Hard Knocks for a long time. They don't want to do it. They haven't been interested in it. Typically, teams on Hard Knocks don't have great years. The Lions have kind of been an exception this year. But they don't have the head coach. So if you have a new head coach, you don't have to do it. I think if you make the playoffs, you don't have to do it. Whatever the rules are, the Bears would definitely qualify. And like at some point, I don't know how much longer you can dodge it. And here's what I would keep in mind. They're going to have a new president and CEO.
Yep.
What does that guy think? Maybe if it is Kevin Warren, he comes in and says, "Hey, man, the Chicago Bears on Hard Knocks make HBO happy, make the NFL happy.
Good publicity.
Good publicity. How about this? How about we market this young quarterback we're excited about, right? Like, let's show off the philosophy to the world.
Why not?
Show it off.
Yeah.
Let's get this hits principle going. Now,
you go up to the Flus and you tell him, listen, I think it's good for the world to know what you do. It's your job. It's your duty.
I like it. I'm not
create the hype. Like that's something they can strive for. They're like, oh, there's a lot of hype surrounding Justin Fields and these weapons they got and the defensive line, and everybody wants to live up to that. So they give them something to shoot for. So I like it.
It doesn't seem like something this organization is interested in, but the presence of a new president and CEO, these are the things we have to discuss. Also, Carm, I really want to talk about that stadium proposal with you, but we're obviously not doing it today, and we need to dedicate like a whole show to it.
Can't wait. It's the greatest stadium I've ever seen. It's only going to cost $8 billion, and I have no idea who's paying for it, but let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Sungri Kim, it's $4.99. This offseason should be about going back to step 0, evaluate Flus, browse the head coaching. No, evaluate Justin Fields and see if Bryce can be the next Mahomes.
No and no. I think Flus is the head coach, especially since Poles,
Yeah, it's just
picked him.
Don't rip up every. I'll tell you what. Well, whatever. Just think about the Matt Nagy era. It's been 4 years, never had a culture like this, never had a foundation like this, never had an identity like this. Now they just have to add the talent.
Exactly.
They fixed all that. And they somehow managed to fix all that while the quarterback got better, and they somehow got the number 1 overall pick.
Thanks, Levy.
It's the greatest year in the history of the franchise outside of 1985. I'm not even kidding.
It's crazy. All right, Bear Down from H-Town, $5 super chat. So how do you feel about trying to bring in D-Hop?
Like that.
Hey, a lot of change down there in Arizona. They fired Cliff Kingsbury today. Steve Keim stepped away from his GM job. There's going to be a lot of change down there. Honestly,
that might be a clean house.
What about Kyler Murray and Cardinals have that 3 pick? Who knows what a new guy in there with the
They could want a quarterback that they, if they feel good about Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, they might say, you paid him this money, but he's not our guy. You never know.
Yeah. Question number 1: how much tape do you watch?
He's not old. He's not in his prime, but he's 30. He caught 64 balls.
You're talking about Hopkins.
Yeah, Hopkins.
I think he still has the talent. I just think him and Murray weren't on the same page, and that was
he'd instantly be our best receiver.
How many total yards did he have?
900 and no, he had 717.
And this is a bad year.
Just making numbers up.
I thought I saw 960. Yeah, I
They
don't know
were
why.
terrible.
But he's a true number 1.
Yes.
And he's got about 2 to 3 really good years left. I think.
He had three games this year where he caught over 10 balls.
The Bears had 0. Off the top of my head, I feel very confident in saying that.
Yeah.
Michael 499 says launch Alan Williams into the sun and hire Lovey back as DC. He knows the defense and hits philosophy.
We're not launching Alan Williams anywhere. We love Alan Williams, but if they wanted to make that switch, I'll get on board.
Yeah, and by the way, Lovey is not necessarily a hits philosophy guy. Flus came up with the hits philosophy, and it is based on a lot of those things that those mentors like Lovey preach. So I'm not saying he wouldn't be a fit into it, but let's not act like he invented it.
Because he learned under Eberflus under Marinelli when they were on the Cowboys?
Yeah.
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 So a lot of that Tampa 2
Yeah.
and attention to detail, discipline, attacking, running to the football always, all that.
Right. It's no, yeah, I get it. I also am kind of getting a kick out of 10 years later how many Bears fans now love Lovie Smith. And want him
I
back.
think everybody's loved him
Yeah.
for what he did defensively, but what do they all say? We couldn't get the offense right.
Right.
You know, we kind of didn't like his demeanor on press conference. I'm like, that was his demeanor.
Yeah.
You can't change somebody, right? Did you like Jay
Carman
Cutler's demeanor?
No.
That's Jay Cutler.
Right.
He's that way.
I wanted him out of town, too.
You know, so.
What do you think about Alan Williams' demeanor?
I love Alan Williams.
Okay.
I do.
You know, just like your demeanor. You're calm.
That's
That
right.
was
I mean,
Billy
and
Mannion.
clearly take it
Stop.
take it or leave it. I thought he was giving me I thought he was giving me like the microphone, like we were going to do an interview. And end of the show. Woot, what are you going to miss most about Sundays hanging out with Carman Hoge?
Carm's pause-worthy comment.
Yeah.
Pause worthy.
The cocktail.
Cockies. I don't understand how that's not a thing.
That is not a thing. That's
You really don't understand
Yeah,
why
it's
it's
another
not a
pause.
thing?
No,
It seems fairly obvious why
plural.
that's not a thing.
It's plural for happy hour.
You've asked a female.
It's plural for
she
happy
said she had
hour?
no clue.
Wait, how is it plural for happy hour? What does that mean?
Because what at happy hour you go and you have cocktails. Okay, so what would be the plural of that?
Do you understand English?
Isn't
Cocktails.
cocktails
It's a more
already
slang,
plural?
relaxed,
Drinks.
chill.
Brewskis.
Yes. I mean, I don't want to get myself in trouble here. Put the
Brouhaha.
show in a bad spot. But I think
Speaking of happy hour, let's hear what Aaron Owens has to say.
thank you, Lawrence.
Update on Will DeLitt.
199. He's doing great.
He's doing
He retweeted
fantastic.
something and he's feeling great,
He's
right?
going to be on After Dark tonight.
Yes,
Yes.
After Dark. I'll be here tonight with Will and Nick and I think Gregory, and we're going to balance
boy.
computers on our heads.
I didn't see Bragg's
Finally.
video this morning. Did y'all
Did he-
check it out?
did he
Did he
not
do a video?
Did he not do a Rise and Shine?
I
Is
don't know.
Braggs okay?
Oh my gosh.
Do we need to be worried about him?
He's tweeted. There's been tweets.
And he's been in the chat, but I got to tell you, I sent Braggs a video last night, and his own personal video.
He didn't respond.
Dude doesn't respond to the next day.
Oh,
What is this? End of season's over. I don't get a response to the next
Oh,
day.
Braggs is out. Braggs on in the offseason.
He said he took off work tomorrow, so you know he has to go to work. I think he was out late last night. Had a couple. What do you call them?
Cockies.
Like, I don't even feel comfortable saying that word.
I don't understand. Like, maybe just the dudes that I hang out with, and that's like, let's get some drinks. Yeah.
So you and your boy say that?
Yes.
So
What
you-
are we, 6? Why can't we get it?
So you be at the bar. You're like, hey guys, let's
It's
get some.
just hanging out.
Let's get some cockies
Hey,
together.
Yes, come on. let's have a good time.
Hey,
Let's have it's happy hour.
each his own, right,
Just a
Hoge?
couple.
Yeah, you know, I don't judge.
One
All good.
You know what
whiskey,
they say
2
about
whiskey.
those Iowa Hawkeyes, you know?
Hawks are coming on now.
Yeah.
How about those?
They are?
A little bit. drop, not like the Wildcats going into Indiana yesterday and being the number 15 Hoosiers. Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go, Purple.
You see how you pounded and I go to Carman.
The microphone.
Hail to Purple, hail to White. Hey,
last one, Brandon, $10 super chat. Just wanted to say thanks for a great season. I feel like I've enjoyed a ton of free content from you all, and I appreciate it. Can't wait for more football.
Brandon, you've been super supportive, and I've noticed you. We all have all season long, so right back at you. And, yeah, if you're naming free content, feel free to become a diehard and really get some amazing value for what we do over here.
Yeah, discounts on all our events, all our merch, happy hours that we have. See how I pluralized happy hour there? Happy hours.
Yeah, that's
See how that actually makes sense?
Yeah, but that's boring. 20% off all the merchies. All the merchies, 20% off.
Oh, boy.
Hook it up with your merchie.
Carm, you sound like a teenage girl the way you.
I'm taking that as a compliment, Woot.
He's big on TikTok.
Would love to go back to the 20. Let's go back to being 15 and having fun.
In all seriousness, thank you guys all for watching, listening, consuming the pod however you did. When we launched this thing on March 4th of last year, I did not. Kevin Kaduk and I were having this conversation last night, and he said to me, he's like, if you told me the Bears were going to go 3-14,
would have shut down CHGO.
Would have said, oh, crap. But it's been oddly an incredible year with the Bears. Justin Fields coming on. We've been here for the whole ride. For me, losing my voice in week 1 somehow to getting COVID a few weeks later. Got off to a rocky. I was kind of like the Detroit Lions this year. Yep. Got off to a 1-6 start, but we turned it around, finished 9-8.
I got to tell you, King Pookie Nation is definitely in on my lingo. That's a great moniker. And in the middle of the show today,
I'm trying to genuinely say thank you.
I'm saying thank you.
You're talking about nonsense.
I'm saying thank you to King Pookie and inviting her back for more. And in the middle of the show today, it somehow came to me when you're talking about training camp. I remember just standing there with you in Lake Forest and overlooking the field, and I was just getting started, and there was Will and there was Nick, and I hadn't met Woot, and the season just has flown by, and it's been a great time. But I also feel like we're just starting the real season right now.
Yeah. By the way, we'll be doing 5 days a week throughout the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, this is where we really just go next level, and this is going to be the greatest offseason of our lives. So let's not make it out like there's any ending here. It's just the start.
Yeah, no one else is going 5 days a week like we are. Monday through Friday, we're still going to be here. Got another show tomorrow at noon. We're going to have a reaction to the press conferences that are happening at 10:30. A little bit of a warning. Another reason to hit that subscribe button and the notification button when we go live, because there's a chance we're late tomorrow.
Got to get your noties.
We got to get our noties.
You got to have your noties. And also another reason for that is there's going to be breaking news all off season, and when it happens, no matter what time of day, we're coming for you. So
except 2 a.m. I'm not doing the Bears hire Mark Trestman at 2 a.m. thing again.
Oh,
God. They hire Trestman at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, with Bruce Arians at the hotel down the street. It's like, dude, I don't know why you got to figure this out at 2 a.m. Like, maybe sleep on it. Make a different decision in the morning.
Yeah.
Should have been.
Exactly. But it's been a lot of fun working with you guys, man. Been a lot of fun.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Air over there. It's been a lot of fun with you guys.
Legit the best. So.
No, you've been a great teammate.
No, it's been a lot
the
of
best.
Fun,
taking it seriously each and every week, and we appreciate that. And
I'll be back with you guys in the off season. You know, doing some stuff. Potentially at the Super Bowl radio roll with you guys.
There's
Combine, the draft.
Yep.
So we'll be continuing this relationship,
Let's
right?
Go.
We can maybe get a couple of those. What do you call them?
Cockies at the Super Bowl and videos to it. Damn right we will.
Oh, man.
It's going to be a great time.
All right, Marky Mark paying $1.99 to tell us to shut up. Let's wrap it up. Cubs show is next. Love y'all.
Like the Chappelle show.
Marky Mark, take us to break. Marky Mark, we'll see you tomorrow at noon-ish.
Marky Mark's got to meet Pookie.